All right, this video is going to continue on with the inscribed angles and central angles and all arcs adding up to 360. So those three ideas, again, are if you have a central angle, it equals the arc. If you have an inscribed angle, it equals 1/2 of the arc. And all arcs, or the whole circle, add up to 360. All right, so the problems in this video are going to be a little bit more complicated than the last one, but they're still these same three ideas. So for this one, we're trying to get the arc RT. All right, we don't know what this angle is, although we could get it from this 220 because it is an inscribed angle. However, we do know that these two chords, RT and TS, are congruent. So that means that their arcs have to be congruent too. So I'm going to call this one that we're looking for X. And I'm going to say this one over here is also X. So I have 2X, X plus X, plus 220 equals my whole circle, which is 360. And I'm just solving for X. So subtract 220 from both sides, and I get 2X equals 140. Divide by 2, and X equals 70 degrees. All right, so we're using these ideas and then also remembering back to what we know about congruent chords, that they have arcs that are also congruent. All right, I'm going to be looking at number 14, which we just did, 17, 20, 21, 24, and 32 in this video. It may be one of the longer videos, but it's going to cover some of the more challenging problems. All right, number 17. In the figure below, find the measure of angle CBA, so that's this angle right here, and CFA. CBA is an inscribed angle, and CFA is a central angle. So if we could figure out what this arc is, then we would know. We would just automatically be able to get it from these two formulas. All right, but what are we given? We're given measure of arc ABC. That means from A through B around to C. That large arc is equal to 240. All right, so what is this minor arc AC? So the major arc ABC is 240. The whole circle adds up to 360. So this arc has to be 360 minus 240 is 120. All right, the central angle is equal to the arc. So measure of CFA, the central angle, is just 120. And the measure of CBA, which is the inscribed angle, is half of 120. So measure of angle CBA is 1/2 of 120, which is 60 degrees. The measure of CFA is just equal to the arc, is 120. It's number 17. Next up is number 20. You can, of course, pause and rewind and go back over any that you need. All right, the trick here is that this line, this longest line segment, is a diameter. It goes through the middle, goes through the center of the circle, which means it's dividing the circle into exactly half. And half of 360 is 180. So this arc here is a semicircle arc. It's 180 degrees. All right. That means X, which is an inscribed angle, has to be half of 180. because it's inscribed, and that's just 90 degrees. All right, so this is 90 degrees. We can't get y directly yet. We could get this other angle by taking half of 106, which gives us 53. And then we could subtract from 180 to get y. We can also, so there are multiple approaches here. We can also figure out this arc over here, this little arc. So we know we have two arcs, 106 and 180. And if we add those up, we get 286. Now if I subtract from 360, I get 74 degrees. So this little arc over here is 74 degrees, which means y has to be 1/2 of 74, which is 37 degrees. Notice if we had just taken half of 106 to get 103, or to get 53 here, we could also add up the three angles in the triangle to 180. So we could say 90 plus 53 is 143. Subtract that from 180 and we get 37. So there are multiple ways to do it. All right. You're always kind of using the strategy of what do I have and how can I then find a missing piece? So right away, I notice on this one, I have two arcs. The circle's divided up into 3 arcs. So I can figure out this arc pretty easily and then see where that gets me. So I know I have 133 and 123. That gives me 256. I'm going to subtract that from 360 to see what's left. That gives me 104. So this arc is 104 degrees. Okay, right? So angle BAD, that's my central angle. That always has to be equal to the arc, so that is 104. And measure BCD, that's my inscribed angle. That's going to be equal to 1/2 of 104, which is 52 degrees. So I have 104 and 52. Number 24 looks a little tricky. I'm trying to get measure of, this should say arc AB. So I'm trying to get this arc. This is a weird looking picture, but this angle 133, this is an inscribed angle. The vertex is on the edge of the circle, which means it has to be 1/2 of the arc it creates, which is this major arc right here, AEB. All right, so this arc has to be twice as big as 133. That's arc AEB. Measure of that major arc is twice 133, which is 266 degrees. All right, so the minor arc AB is simply 360 minus 266, which is 94 degrees. All right, last problem for this video. I'm going to label what I have. So, pretty sure there's a typo in this one, but let's say measure of angle GOI is 52 degrees. That's this angle right here. Find measure of angle GIO. That's this angle right here. I think this should be asking not for the angle again, which we already know, but for the arc GI. Okay, and we know that that arc is equal to the central angle. That's 52 degrees. We can also get that GHI, this inscribed angle over here, is 1/2 of 52 degrees. which is 26 degrees. So the only thing we haven't done yet is this angle right here, GIO. And the thing to realize there is that we have an isosceles triangle. GO and OI are both the radius of the circle. They are congruent to one another, which means these two angles have to be the same as well. And we have a triangle. And in a triangle, the three angles always add up to 180. So I'm just going to call this X. So this is also X. So I have X plus 52 equals 180. That gives me 2X plus 52 equals 180. Subtract 52 gives me 2X equals 128. And divide by 2. I get X equals 64 degrees. Obviously, this picture is not drawn to scale. But given the information that we're given, this angle has to be 64. Or you could simply have taken 180, subtracted 52, and just split it into two parts. Even if you didn't write the equation out, it still would give you the same answer.